So I woke up this morning and I had seen that Metallica have put out a new song from the forthcoming album 72 Seasons, which is due out in April. And this time around, we've got Screaming Suicide. It's an odd title. It's a little bit worrying if James Hetfield is thinking about suicide a lot, and writing about it. But anyway, happy times. Anyway, I thought, last time out we took a look at, I took a look at Lux Eterna, but I didn't really cover it as a reaction video or anything like that. It was just my immediate thoughts. Like, I remember I was sick as a dog, and I'd listen to the song, and I just thought I'd go on and say a few words about it. But this time I thought I'd dissect this one a little deeper. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is not like a first-time reaction or something like that. I have listened to the song a couple times already, once or twice in the car, just through my phone, really. And I gotta be honest, the first time I listened to it, I was like, kind of, what the hell is this? Like, what am I actually listening to? But I had like the blower on, to like defrost the car, and I was rushing to work and all that kind of thing. So it didn't really get a good proper listen to it. But I've listened to it 2 more times since then. Again, just on the phone. This will be the first time listening to it properly with decent audio. So yeah, let's go ahead and climb in, because I do have some things to say about this track. So let's get started. So just off the back on that intro, I suppose guitar-wise, there's nothing that's really reaching out and really grabbing me as like mind-blowing. It's okay, riffs are okay. I see the wah-wahs back from Kirk. It's an odd one, I think. It's one thing when he uses it in solos, preferably in small doses, which is, let's say, it's been a while since he's done that. I think when you go in with a main kind of a riff, especially like this where it's an intro, there's no vocals, and you've got this big wah-wah thing up front, it's important to understand that, especially if you use it really rhythmically rather than as like a sort of tone control, you risk funking up your metal track somewhat, or bluesing it up. Even if the riff and underlying notes and harmony are not overtly blues, but this is not far from blues, really. In some ways, it's kind of textbook. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on that. I do like the bass, though. The sound, the presence of the bass in the mix is actually really, really... it's pretty obvious for a Metallica record. Usually the bass is a little bit further pushed back, even when it's noticeably audible and well mixed. They usually, they tend to favor it being pushed back a little bit. And I guess it brought Rob forward a bit. He's got quite a distorted sound, and it doesn't distract from the guitars too much. Let's take a look at the next part. Okay, so this riff, I mean, it's cool. It chugs along nicely, and it's one of those riffs that you kind of use to just separate one part from another, and it serves as a kind of interlude into the main verse, presumably. And that's what it kind of sounds like. There's nothing really stand out about it. It's a decent rockin' riff. But here's the thing. Sometimes I think, when people write riffs like that, it can be a little bit like filling the space rather than... I guess the way I felt about Metallica growing up was that like every riff counted. right? That's what they used to do so well. It was like every single riff that was included was like a just sounded groundbreaking. Now you can't expect that in this day and age because kind of everybody's seen and done and heard it all by now. But there was a depth and a class to the riffs, and I'm not really hearing that here. Da 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 da. It's kind of meh. You know, kind of sounds a little cookie cutter, if I'm honest. But I mean, it rocks along well enough. So let's have a listen to the verse then.
Welcome to this life, born into the fight, feeding clean your dream. Look you in the eye, past a broken sky, craving dopamine. Then my voice appears, teaching you of fears. Are you good enough? You don't recognize that it's full of lies. You should just give up.
So in that first section of the verse, I think it actually sounds better than I thought when I listened initially on my phone. I wasn't really getting some of the kind of nuance at the end of the riff, the kind of tail of the riff, if you will. And I think if I've got a bone to pick with it, my main bone to pick with it is that it actually stays the same for too long. It needs that modulation up to the range. It needs those kind of step changes, I think, kind of through it, rather than just going kind of playing steady. It needs that more like more dimension. I think personally, because otherwise everything just kind of chugs along and it's like easy as she goes. Yeah, or steady as she goes is the expression, isn't it? If you're sailing ships or something like that. And if you're Metallica, do you really want that? Do you want steady as she goes? Right, let's have a listen to the next part.
Listen well, better listen well. Listen well, better listen well.
So that first key change, it's nice to have a key change, but it's kind of a bright kind of key change. It doesn't. Again, it's looking for something a bit more here. But this second portion, where are we at? 129. It goes into this listen well phase.
Speak my name. Remember you're to blame.
Yeah, so in the second of that portion. That's quite a nice change. I quite like that.
My name is suicide.
And I'm guessing that part serves as the chorus, which is a really, really short, concise chorus. And if you're going to do that, I think it needs to be like really stand out, and it's got to have like a really, really great hook in there, because there's not a lot of content to sell the listener onto, and I'm not really getting that. Yeah, there's some like nice ideas, but they don't really seem to really be taken to conclusion. It's just like a band like jamming in a garage, kind of taking it easy. Yep. Anyway, let's we'll skip ahead because it kind of goes back through the verse. So bring this to 2:36.
Keep me inside. My name is suicide.
Right, so this is like a middle break, right? Keep holding on and keep it. So here we're going into the solo, right, from Kirk, and he's starting too many solos with and then into a separate passage, and particularly again add insult to injury, we're now on that generic kind of wah sound as well. There's no real. I'm finding it difficult to find distinct identifying qualities to separate his solos these days, which is a bit of a concern. Well, it's a major concern actually. So at the end of that solo, I mean, there's some nice moments, the kind of screeches, where it kind of goes up the fretboard and there's a bit of kind of screaming from the guitar. That's nice. There's some real nice tone actually going on with his lead there. And then it just ends abruptly, right? And then, James's vocal comes straight back in. There's nothing to separate those parts off. So that tempo, that rhythm, that pulse, it's really repetitive through the song. There's not, there's the odd triplet from Lars on the kicks to kind of provide some accents and some dynamics, but beyond that, there's not a lot. And when he does a fill, it's a lot of this kind of thing. Yeah, we could really do with like something like that, like some triplets in across the toms, something just and some breaks in those rhythms just to kind of spruce it up a wee bit. Right, let's take a look at just a couple more bars, and then I guess I'll give my final thoughts. One thing I will say about this is I really like the look of the music video actually. There's a real kind of darkness and atmosphere about the music video, which I kind of wish the song actually had. And that's another thing I really wanted to say about the song is it's kind of like upbeat and peppy. Yeah, the tempo is fine. The tempo is fine for a thrash song. Like I've heard, I don't know, say the likes of Anthrax, that kind of tempo, and a cool thrashing riff with it. And even if it's not your cup of tea, you're like, yeah, this is kind of where thrash metal lives. So the tempo of it is fine, but it just kind of there's no darkness really to the chord movements. And so what you've got is kind of a bright overall sound. Yeah, fair enough, it rocks, but is it metal? The only thing making it metal is the tone of the guitars and the attack of the drums and the kind of production style. But otherwise, what you're hearing is like really upbeat and kind of almost cheerful. It's like, where's the drama? Where's the tension? Where's the fight? Where's the struggle? For me, that's the important kind of stuff, really, when you're trying to sell something that's metal. And I'm not really getting it from this track. So, yeah, I think, look, that's where I'm going to park it. That's kind of, there's nothing really more to this. Obviously, I'll have the link down below if you want to listen to the track. If you haven't heard it, go on and give it a listen. I think maybe I was worried that one of two things was going to happen. So, with Luxy Turner coming out, I was like, okay, either this is a promising start and the whole album is going to have like higher pacing than the last record, and that may well be true. The pacing of the song in terms of tempo is fine. It could sit well in the catalog. But I also worried, this was my second concern, was with the Luxy Turner, did they blow their load early? Because bands usually pick like what they see as their strongest in terms of strongest track in terms of like hooks, and something that's obviously manageable, like not too long, so that it can grab people's attention. And that's usually the track that they put out first, as traditionally would have been a single, but in these days it's kind of like a hook, right? Because everything's published online, so you put that out and you hook people in, and then they get excited for the record. And I wonder if they've just kind of blown their load a little early. They've put that song out, people have got raised expectations. I thought Luxy Turner was okay. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was okay. Thought it kind of had it mostly where it needed it, but it could have done with a little bit more. But it was like, yeah, okay, not a bad start. This song actually kind of has me worried. It sounds like cookie cutter kind of metal. This is the first time I've really heard, even Luxy Turner, like there's a good hook in the riff. Yeah, it's upbeat and it's kind of like hit the lights in a lot of ways, but it's that kind of song you maybe listen to like pump yourself up before you're going to go out for a night, like you're looking forward to it and you're feeling upbeat. This song is neither here or there. If you look at it like Screaming Suicide, it should have, for me, from Metallica anyway, it should kind of have a darkness and a depth and an atmosphere, and kind of tied in with that lyric somehow. And to me, it doesn't. The music sounds apart from the lyric. it doesn't reflect what James is singing. It's just, it sounds like some guys jamming together, and then they didn't go and like get it produced and finish it and like tailor it and tweak it and really refine it and work on it before they handed it to the world. It's a strong criticism, but this is the first time, well, one of the first times I think I've listened to a Metallica song that they've put out promotionally and actually been like properly disappointed. Usually I've been able to find some kind of positive side to everything else I've done, but this time I'm like, nah, it isn't doing it for me. It's like kind of meh. There are positives there, like I said, killer mix, but we already knew that from Luxitono, so I'm not really focusing in on that too much today. I'm focusing on the songcraft because that's the rest of the record that we're going to be concerned about going forward towards April. But anyway, add your thoughts to the comments. I'd really love to know what you think. And if you've joined me, this channel, yeah, I do a lot of metal. If you joined off the back of the Jeff Beck video, thanks very much. It was just an honest thing, kind of from the heart, growing up with him and learning to play the guitar and the influence he had on that whole thing. Being a musician and a guitarist growing up, particularly in the 90s, early 2000s kind of thing. But thanks for subscribing. I realize that my normal content might not be your cup of tea, ideally, but I will get around, and it's, for the, considering everyone who has subscribed off of the back of that video, I will probably start talking a little bit more about some of the guitar virtuosos and stuff like that, because my tastes are actually pretty diverse. So yeah, if people are interested in that content, I'll do my best to crank some more of that out. Right, until the next time, take it easy. Goodbye.